Welcome to Success Matters. If you're enjoying the series, please tell others and don't forget to follow and subscribe. You'll be the first to hear when the next episode is published. Today, I'm privileged to be joined by award-winning designer Vinnette Grant as she shares how her experience has profoundly influenced her creative journey. Vinnette's work has garnered international recognition, and her innovative designs have left an indelible mark on the industry. Vinnette came to the UK as a child from Jamaica during the Windrush era. Throughout her life, Vinnette has faced subtle yet persistent biases, and at one pivotal moment at a fashion show, Vinnette made the bold choice to swap badges with her white assistant, her assistant acting as the lead designer. It was an act that highlighted the biases of the time and showcased Vinnette's unwavering determination to rise above it. In 2017, Vinnette faced a life-altering stroke that required not one, but 2 brain surgeries. This event alone would have tested the resilience of anyone, but Vinnette's determination saw her retrain her hand and movements, and even travel to Dubai shortly after her operation. I'm sure you'll be inspired to design your life as Vinnette shares her story of triumph and determination. Vinnette, thank you very much for joining Success Matters. You're a fashion designer. How did you come to be in the world of fashion design?
Hello, Sanjay. Just want to say thank you very much for your interest and for including me in your podcast, and to Val, who recommended me. How I got into fashion, I've been surrounded by fabrics and clients and everyone coming to the house, which is my family home. And my parents were in the business. My father was a tailor and my mother a designer dressmaker. So I was going to be the one out of the 4 sisters who's immersed in it, because they only want me to make things for them. They don't want to be involved. So yeah, being the oldest one, I think I took that mantle and ran with it.
So would people come to your parents' houses for their fittings and...
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
And you'd sit in on those meetings with you?
I did actually. Just realised they allowed me to sit there. I don't know why, but I think they were grooming me into being a designer right from the start.
All right. And what sort of design work do you primarily focus on? What sort of outfits do you typically do?
Well, I started by doing evening knitwear, which was sort of glamorous evening wear, not jumpers.
Okay. I was wondering, I had like Christmas jumpers in my mind for some reason there.
Blinky evening wear. That was what I studied when I was studying fashion with a knitting machine. Quite complicated. I'm not a hand knitter, but a machine knitter. But my first collection was of smaller knitwear was in Harvey Nichols. So that's when I started my knitwear following my college studies. But now, because I went to British Airways for a little bit of a sabbatical from design, people there began to know what I do in my spare time and for business. And they started asking me for wedding dresses and evening wear, red carpet sort of gowns. So I crossed over from knitwear to evening wear and dresses and stuff like that for ladies. Didn't do any menswear. Yeah. So it's funny how life takes you in different directions. You never know where you're going to be, but just be open to it.
So Harvey Nichols, for those that aren't familiar, is it a department store? Is it, say, kind of a chain store in the UK?
It's, but be careful what I say. I would say it's on the level with Harrods. It's a well-known, world-renowned store in Knightsbridge.
And so your designs were basically available through their store?
They were on the shop floor, yes, yeah.
All right, okay. And how did you actually manage to break into Harvey Nichols?
That's interesting. No, well, strangely enough, I inquired about a job with Harvey Nichols when I finished studying, and I thought I better attack this new career on different levels. And I knew fashion was going to be very competitive, so I thought, let me try and go the buyer's route. So that's why I tried to get on the buyer's course there. The course was taking a very long time to come around. So I took a job as a consultant there, a fashion consultant. Mm-hmm. And I used to go out in my lunch breaks from Harvey Nichols into Kensington and, all around Knightsbridge areas with my knitted samples. Like, I can't believe looking back, I can't believe I did that. I was 20.
Yeah.
21. I don't know if I could do that now. It's strange, isn't it? The brave, when you're brave and young, it's strange. But I did that. And then my buyer called me in one day and said, "What's this I'm hearing that you're going around selling your samples and you haven't shown me?" And I said, "Well, you're the buyer for Harvey Nichols. Why on earth would I assume that you'd be interested?" Because I was just going into boutiques and stuff, shops like that in Kensington. And she said, "No, I need you to come along to a meeting. I'm ordering some separates, and I want you to design the tops to go with it." And it was absolutely mind blowing, as you can imagine. And then a few weeks after they were on the shop floor, because I was selling them to people as well, wrapping them up, thinking, "Oh my God, you don't realize they're my garments." It was really crazy. So my buyer said to me, "Oh, Vinnette, you've got a letter here from an international, just not a buyer, but a scout."
Okay.
Vanessa Denza. I don't know if you can, I think she's still on Google somewhere, but it was a very long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted a meeting with me to sell my knitwear internationally, worldwide. I thought, she's going a little bit too fast.
Yeah.
And I had no one to guide me. And I went along to the meeting,
mm-hmm.
and this lady is saying, "Yes, well, Italy, Spain," but I really didn't know what was going on. And I wish that at the time I had someone that was like a mentor to me.
Uh-huh.
Because, that's what you need as a newbie, as someone leaving any sort of training at all. You need someone to guide you because you've gone to college or university to train. You don't know what to do. You don't know what the next stages are.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you really do. And I do try to advise young people that come to me. I get a lot of them coming to me asking advice. They think I've done it all and know it all. But if I can help, I will. And I do try and steer them in the right direction because I know how it feels.
Yeah.
To be left in like almost like in a wilderness.
So how was your meeting with Vanessa? How did that go?
Yeah, well, it went very well. But as I said, I was just very scared. And in the end, I was about to be married as well. I'm from Jamaica. I'm born in Jamaica. My husband at the time was born in Jamaica. And it wasn't a career really that would fly very well with, how can I say this? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. It wasn't expected. That isn't the expected route that a wife should go down. So I knew that it wasn't going to work. It's a shame really, but I knew I wanted my family. They're around me now. I've got 3 children and 7 grandchildren. So all the money in the world couldn't have replaced them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I did what I did, and I didn't go down. I didn't sell as I could have done.
Mm-hmm.
It was a scary prospect, but how thrilling to be invited. It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean that's like a big break, right? To be sent this letter, and did you then end up having to get factory set up and that sort of thing to fulfill? How did the fulfillment of those orders work?
I mean, what we do, because I'm one of these people that like to be hands-on. So I did the samples.
Okay.
And it would be very difficult to explain to another machinist what I wanted. I mean, I did have sample machinists, but it would be very hard for them to understand the way my mind thinks.
Okay.
Because I'm creating as I go along with the knitting machine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I took a lot on myself, which was crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm an Aquarian. We tend to do things like that, and it wasn't really the volume that I needed to go and get factories
Right. Okay.
It could have been, but because I took a step down, we left it with the way it was, with me handling it all.
So you were putting in like long hours in front of your knitting machine to basically create these garments. Is that right?
Absolutely crazy. Yeah.
Okay. And how long did that flow of orders last for? Was it for a number of years? Was it a kind of short period?
In the meantime, I'd had a baby, so yeah.
Oh, okay.
It slowed me down a
Oh,
lot.
we missed that bit, Al.
You know? We weren't going
Okay,
to
so these orders, you had a baby, and so you were.
I got married, had a baby.
Okay.
But then I started joining in with other classes, knitwear classes, and knitting competitions, national knitting competitions. I ended up, strangely enough, coming first out of England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. I mean,
Wow.
I don't know. And I got my sample the first year, 1 minute to the deadline. It had to be, yeah, you see how I work. I got there at 5:29 and it had to be in by 5:30.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know if that was the reason I came first, if it was still fresh in their memory, but I did. I came first. So after that, I went into other competitions. It was TV Times, best original. I won best TV Times best original knitwear, which was a couple of points away from the top prize. A designer who did patchwork leather got the top prize. So with that money, I went into London Fashion Week, Olympia.
Right.
And strange enough, was visited by the girl that came first and went, wow, how have you done this? And she's the one that came first, but I'm the one doing all the work.
Yeah.
So, so then I had that stand, which really expensive time. By this time I'd had baby number 2.
Okay.
So shall I tell you what I had to do, Sanjay?
Yes, please.
I was the only black person when I was studying fashion at the college and in the entire Medway towns, apart from one lady that I used to wave to and say, well, hi.
Right.
And so at the exhibition, my friend was one of my colleagues, and she said to me, Vinnette, let's swap badges. I mean, everyone's heard this story. They're like, not the story again. But she said, we'll swap badges. You can be Tracy, because I look like Tracy.
Okay.
And she was Vinnette, and she definitely didn't look like a Vinnette.
Right.
And so I would come along to the stand with the coffees, and I'd go, Vinnette, would you like your coffee now? Then I'd say, can I help anyone? And they'd all shoo me away. So, no, this lady's helping us. I said, oh, thank you very much. They didn't realise it was my stand.
Yeah.
All my knitwear on sale. So that's what we had to do back in those days. That was 86.
So if you hadn't done that, do you think you'd have had as many visitors to the stand?
Truthfully, not as many. And certainly not as many orders.
Yeah.
And that wasn't my idea to swap over, because I was really one of these people that say, I'm going to do this come hell or high water.
Yeah.
But my friend was aware of what I went through when I was studying as, honorary black student.
Yes.
And she said, no, this is the way to do it, Vinnette, trust me. And it worked. It's sad to say, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah. And hopefully that same thing wouldn't have to be repeated now in the same London Fashion Week place.
No, there's a lot more ethnicity representation now. Yeah, definitely. And I'm quite happy to go ahead and just be me, because that's, if you're not you, who are you? You've got to be yourself.
So you were telling me as we were preparing for this that in 2017 you had a stroke.
It's hardly surprising given the way I work,
Right.
in the when I work in my studio, then my next door neighbour used to knock on the wall and say, will you go home?
Okay.
We're working till 1 o'clock, and it's only a minute. I'm very lucky. It's only a minute from my home. So, yeah, unfortunately, I did have a stroke. And it's completely changed the way I think.
Right.
I mean, I've always been a grateful person, but I know that it could have been much worse. Absolutely. But I knew I had things to live for. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, you had your 3 kids, right, to live for. That's for sure. As a designer, though, did the stroke, because when you say it changed the way you think, did it change the way you like your design mind? I'm trying to I'm struggling with this because like your designs come from up there, right? And then if your brain has a kind of little reset, does that affect the designs that come out?
Yeah, because it affected my left side.
Right.
The right side's more creative.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, this side's more functional. And what it did do was that I couldn't use my fingers on my left side. Absolutely terrifying. I thought, oh my goodness, well, how am I gonna do my craft if I can't even pick up pins? Or I mean, my walking was impaired as well. I was in a wheelchair. So, everything had altered, and I had to reprogram myself because I also didn't want people to feel sorry for me. So I tried to be as normal as possible. But look, my design, the physiotherapist used to come to my home, I think more regularly than she needed to, but because she knew what I was doing, I had design background. She said, right, come on, I'm going to put some pins down on the table and I want you to pick them up one by one. She really worked with me.
Right. Okay.
And otherwise I would just be sketching with my right hand from now on and having other people do my work. And that's, I don't work like that because I have to be physical. I have to get the fabric and I have to put it on the dummy and then I work round like that.
Okay.
That's how my ideas, yeah. So if I couldn't use my fingers, it would have been game over. Do what I mean?
Yeah, and that would have been pretty devastating, right? Because this can you answer your life. How long did the rehabilitation take?
The part of it was about 3 months because I was in hospital for a month. And then I'd say I had to go to the hospital, luckily it was just next door, to do some full body workout.
Right.
Therapy. So I'd say maybe I was probably walking properly or near as properly a good year after. I went to Dubai and did International Fashion Week, not able to really walk properly.
Right.
That because I'm jumped ahead of you. Sorry, Sanjay.
That's okay.
2017 was when I had the stroke. 2018 was when I had 2 brain surgeries within 4 days of each other.
Oh, blimey. Were they related to the stroke or they were separate?
Yeah. Well, one was a condition I was born with, and the other one they were trying to see if there was a blood clot.
Right.
As a result of the stroke. 2 12-hour operations. But anyway, yeah. So that year, 2018, I had the opportunity to go to Dubai, and my daughter and everyone was saying, "What? How would you be imagining that you could do that?" But what we did, we brought the same collection that I'd done the year before, and that's how I didn't have to make any more. Otherwise, I couldn't have done it.
Right. Okay.
And they wanted to see that collection, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Had you exhibited that collection before in
London?
Dubai one? Oh, in London you had, but not in Dubai.
No.
Okay.
No. So it's just a matter of months apart because originally the collection was shown in September at London Fashion Week.
Right.
Fashion's Finest. And then a bit later on, was it February? I think it was. We went over to Dubai. So, yeah.
You must be nervous though, traveling to Dubai so soon after your operations, or did you just kind of like take it in your stride?
I At no time did I think that I was under threat of losing my life. Or it's strange, isn't it? I mean, most people would have said, let's give it a break, Vinnette, sit down for a little while. But the idea of a rocking chair doesn't suit me. So no, I definitely, it's almost as if I'm trying to prove to myself that I'm still valid, that I can still do these things.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter was fuming. She said, Mum, can you please ask my permission next time? Because I'm the one that's going to be doing all the donkey work. Because she's been they've all three of my children have been modelling since they were little. They've always been involved in my shows.
Right.
So she was very experienced backstage. So the minute we got there, even though I wasn't walking properly, she said, right, you sit down. And she got all the models, said, right, everyone line up. And she organised everything backstage. Yeah. So that was great. I'm glad I did it. Because, I won in best innovative designer of the year for that.
You also said to me that your daughter, is this the same daughter who recently...
I've only got one, yes.
Oh, you've got one. And she's also had her brain surgery recently, is that right?
Yeah. That was over a year ago now.
Okay.
That's a condition that's not very much heard of. And she had a lot of migraines, and they decided that this procedure was going to be the best thing to help her.
Okay.
Daily. Yeah, you can't work every day with a migraine.
No.
So she did that, but she was like me. When she came out of hospital, she had a series of up to 5 Zoom call interviews.
What, straight after coming out of hospital?
Yeah. I don't know where she gets it from. But my mum was the same, actually. She was very feisty. But yeah, she did the interviews. She had to have one in America, 4 in the UK, and she got the job.
Right.
And she's doing it now. So proud that she's managed to do that. But I know it's not a coincidence. This is something that I'd say it's inherently in the family. Do you know what I mean? We're all fighters.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have been happy if she didn't go for it.
I think you kind of set the scene already, right? With the way in which you've kind of come through your surgeries and going straight to Dubai within months of like being able to fly. That, as you say, I think you would sit back and say, "Oh, I can't do it," but you actually just like grabbed the bull by the horns and went for it.
But that's just giving up. I just can't do that.
Yeah.
You've got to live and set the scene by example for your kids and whoever's watching. Otherwise, if I showed that I was scared of, which I was absolutely petrified of having the brain surgery, then she wouldn't have gone through it, because what she'd say is, "Oh, well, you've managed, you come out of it, Mum, so I'll be fine."
Right.
So, I know that helped.
And as you know, the title of this podcast is Success Matters. So you have clearly had a very successful career within the fashion industry. How has your view on success changed over the course of, from when you started to now?
Like when we were talking about when I was working at Harvey Nichols and Vanessa Denza coming in, that would have, without a doubt, that would have sent me ridiculously overboard.
Right.
I would have had a lot of money because it was going to be worldwide. But was that what I really wanted? I realized that my success in my mind was just getting it on the shop floor in Harvey Nichols, let alone taking it worldwide. That's something else. That's a dream.
Mm-hmm.
But my success lies with my 3 children. When I look back and see how they've matured, and then my grandchildren as well. I mean, we took a family photo, and in the center was me, and I realized that I'm like the matriarch. I was surrounded by the children, and I thought, well, there's 12 of us in this picture, that 11 of them wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for me.
No, that's true.
So
Yeah.
that's success. I'd say that was. I mean, I love watching documentaries, and people like George Michael, loads of money, lots of success, unbelievable. But he wasn't happy.
Yeah.
You know, I think happiness is success, isn't it?
Mm.
What's the point of having the money and you're sitting? Don't get me wrong. If someone wants to send me money, that's fine. I know. I money is good if it can get you to do your projects that you've got in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Pay your bills. But at the end of the day, they're not going to give you a cuddle. You're not going to be proud of them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true. Those
That
pound
sounds
notes,
too
dollar bills
simplistic.
aren't going to give you a cup,
No.
are they?
No. It's simplistic, but that's how I think. And I've always thought like that right from day one.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
And you've also got an honorary doctorate, which I just
Yes, I got that last year. Yes, yeah.
I should be calling you Dr. Vinnette then.
Well, just a very deep courtesy will do very
Oh, okay, all right. I bow to you, Dr. Vinnette.
I'm joking.
What was your who conferred you a doctorate? What's the background to it?
Well, when I first 2017, 2019, I think I got someone said that I had a stroke and told my story.
Right.
And I got a beautiful something called Beautiful Survivors Award.
Okay.
And so I keep getting nominated for these things since. And it's all to do, that's why I'm going to Asia as well.
Right.
Without saying any more. But yeah, so this particular person that nominated me for the doctorate, she knew all my steps that I'd taken to get thus far. So I've done outreach work, all everything that you have to do to build up the hours that you need to get qualify for the honorary doctorate. So that's how that came about. I feel very lucky and very honoured, and amongst similar women who have had struggles in their lives and have come through the other side and are helping others, and it's great to be part of that team.
So it's in relation to the work you did supporting
people with humanitarian. It's a humanitarian, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, doctorate.
And you said that was a year ago that was conferred to you?
December, the 3rd of December 2022. Yes.
Oh, okay. Wow. So it's still relatively fresh in that.
I don't really use it. The doctorate. I don't usually say doctor very often. It sounds so precocious, but. I mean, I should own what's mine. This is something that I've always shied down from when people have said to me, "Oh, you're doing this, you're doing that." People always notice what I'm doing. It's embarrassing because do you know what I mean? I find it. Oh, she's showing off again. No, I'm not. It's just.
Do you find it hard to take a compliment as well? Someone says it's really great work.
I'm trying to be better.
Okay.
With Sanjay, when I was at school, I was like at college, I was the only black girl in the class, and it was the streaming days when you had A stream, B stream.
Right, yeah.
And the other girls that were ethnic were in other classes, and they ribbed me rotten. Oh, well, who do you think you are? And it stuck with me because... Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's not nice feeling not part of a group.
Yeah.
I was trying to be one of the family, but I couldn't be because I was thrust into this class that they looked upon as, looked down on because they weren't given the same opportunities. I suppose they saw me as that. And I went on and did athletics and was 3A's champion. And I was supposed to have gone to the Commonwealth Games and everything. I mean, So I've been in the newspaper since I was 12. So I've had it all my life. You can understand. I've always tried to keep things a bit quiet, People say to me, you should be shouting at us. Well, not everyone wants to hear.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, that back in the school days when that was not necessarily the theme because you wanted to fit in with the other You know, the other, I think girls primarily, right?
Yes,
And
the girl.
well, you are fitting in with them because of all these other things. I get that. I understand that. So, but now you've kind of recognized that you're able to really accept, you know, what is yours, and as you said earlier, own who you are.
Well, it's been a few years since I left school.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I think that the stroke, realizing that it could have been so much different.
Mm-hmm.
My world could have been totally different. I could have had a stroke on the right side, which would have meant I would have lost my speech. I would, it would have been a really different scenario. So I'm eternally grateful. So I think, well, now's the time. If any time, now's the time to own what you are, who you are.
Yes.
Isn't it? You know, they're not going to put it on my tombstone.
Well, maybe they will. Who knows?
Well,
So one of the things I do is I ask a previous guest to ask a question for my next guest. So the question that is coming your way,
right.
I kind of think I know what the answer is going to be to this already, but the question is,
what single word would you say describes success?
What do you think I'm going to say, Sanjay? I'd love to hear this.
let's hear your answer, because you said it already, and I'm thinking it's going
Did I?
word, but yeah. So maybe I've got it right.
Happiness.
Yeah, that's what you said. That's what you said before.
Yeah.
So that's what I assumed you were going to say, but you maybe had another word in mind.
Well, family, happiness, because for me, family and happiness go together.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It sounds kind of cliche, but not to say that we haven't had our struggles. You haven't got long enough on this program today to hear my struggles, but we've come through it we're on the other side, and we're all supportive of each other, and that I'm very proud of. That's what makes me happy to see that.
And do you have a question for my next guest?
I would say, who do you think you are?
Who do you
dig deep? Yes, because a lot of us we go through life to a certain extent, thinking we're one person, thinking we're on one path and one career, and then, like me, you could suddenly get an opportunity to change.
Yeah.
If anyone said to me that I'll be doing outreach work and speaking at small groups or conferences about stroke in my years coming, I would have said absolutely not.
Right.
But life changes, and you have to go with it sometimes. So think about who you are and what you'd really like to be, because and to live your best life, isn't it?
Yeah.
And not take a job on because it suits mum and dad's idea of their, of success.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parents we know want you to be a doctor or a
doctor, dentist,
lawyer,
accountant, lawyer, especially like if you come from an Asian background, that's what's there at the top of the list.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. Well, I have South and West Asia in my bloodline, so
right.
I think we're all so mixed anyway, aren't we?
Yes.
I think it's the mindset of the immigrant that comes over, do well so that they can show the people back home that it wasn't a totally waste of time.
Yeah, I never really thought of it from that angle. I always thought of it from the immigrant angle of do well so that you don't have to go through the struggles that we went through to get to where we are.
Yes.
But actually, you're right. There is that other side, right? That, we may have left you the homeland, as it were, but we're doing well now. What we're doing now. Yeah. That's a different perspective. Never.
If we're honest, yeah. Well, I'm Windrush, aren't I? So you know about I came to England when I was 3 with my mother on a plane, not on the boat, but
right.
In 1960, and so I know that they were rearing me. I was the first daughter to be the one that they could phone home and say, she's doing this. You know what I mean? I know that's what's on their mind. It's not a bad thing. They just wanted better for us.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. And which parent doesn't want better for their child, right? So
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, if people want to find out more about your collections or engage with you in terms of your design, where should they go? How can they contact you?
Well, the best way is through Instagram. As you mentioned before, I do have a website, but according to my grandchildren, they're so out of date now. No one goes to websites now. Okay, I'll take your advice. And I'm not very up to date with all that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from the typewriter era. So, so I would go on Instagram for Vinnette, which is Vinnette Grant.
Mm-hmm.
I think it does say Dr. Vinnette Grant. And then there's also a link in the bio for Unbridled Couture. And
Right.
Unbridled is spelled UNBRIDALED, which is a play on words with bridal wear that I do.
Right. Okay.
And leave me a message, yeah.
Okay, cool. So Instagram is the best place. So you're off to Asia soon. Are you planning on doing any sort of collections and design? I suppose shows.
There is going to be a show, and I'm possibly going to be, I don't know, producing maybe 5 garments. I'm not going to do too many,
Right.
because there's so much going to be going on. There's going to be parades and all kinds of things going on. It's quite an intensive trip.
Okay.
So I don't want to overload myself, because I've learned take a little step back and be careful of my health.
Yeah.
You know, yes.
Your neighbour knocking on your door at midnight saying "Go home," as they did before.
It's very considerate, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you go in there and it's like it's your own world. And you
can't get lost in that world, do you?
Yeah. Yeah, you do. You do. Yeah, I'm lucky to have it. So.
Yeah, and the just in talking to you, because as you can clearly see, I am of high fashion design in my own dress.
Absolutely.
But like when you were talking about draping the cloth over the
stand.
the mannequin, the stand, I just kind of had these visions in my mind of how you are seeing things from that cloth just draped over it that no one else can see, and that that's really the hub of what you do, right? As a fashion designer,
Yes.
you just see these things flowing, and we don't.
Yeah, it's totally personal, and you could have been influenced by going out up to the West End, for example, on one day. I mean, I'm very architectural in the way I think, not mathematical, but architectural.
Right.
And I do like using the correct fabric to make forms.
Okay.
But the way I do that is, as you say, by putting it on the stand, I step away, giving away my secrets, step away, and I look at it, and then I leave it overnight. I have a notepad by my bed and a pen. I've done this since I was training. And a lot of the time I'll dream design.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I sound like a little bit freaky, but it's true. Yeah. But now I'm teaching in my studio as well, because last week I was supposed to be with you, but I was teaching. And this student is phenomenal. She's gone from not knowing how to thread a needle thread the sewing machine to cutting a pattern, her own pattern. And I've showed her my techniques, and she's just run with it. It's fantastic. Yeah, I feel great that I've been able to help her, in that way. Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's a 1-to-1, so gets the best.
So we're at the top of our time now, Vinnette. It's been a very fascinating conversation. Thank you very much for sharing.
I've spoken for an hour.
It's not quite an hour, probably about 50 minutes, but it has been wonderful to hear your story and your background. So thank you very much for taking part in Success Matters.
Thank you for being so kind. You've made me relax. That's lovely.
Ah, thank you. If you'd like to find out more about how you can find your success, contact me at info@successmatterscoaching.com. That's info@successmatterscoaching.com.